Busted. I was looking at the time. I was like, oh, I got one more time to put a potato chip in my mouth and take a sip, and then I was busted. I was looking like, wait, they see me now. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Conjure crew. Hey, Laverne. So today's topic, which we talked about last week, is going to be about past lives. Now, we're going to look at it from a lot of different perspectives because Lynna is Jewish, so we're going to hear that perspective. Of course, I grew up Catholic, and Shishi, I think she's going to try to make it. She said there's a storm where she's at, so she may not be able to sign on, but we hope that she does, because we did say we're going to look at a little video that's going to kind of, Lynna was great enough to break it down for us so that we could see, we'll just say y'all fancy. That's because of Lynna. That's why we're fancy. Trust me, she has the technical knowledge. But we're going to look at videos that explain past lives. And also there's a little video about past life regression. I actually had a past life regression about 8 years ago. I did it for my birthday for myself. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We also said, too, that we were going to pull a card from the past life deck and give you an insight into what your past life was. Now, we're not going to go into a deep reading or anything like that. We're going to pull a past life card and a little bit of what the card means. We also have the Akashic Records, where we said that we were going to give a message for that, too. Hey, Laura. Laura's way on the other side in Europe. I know it's what? Late at night. It's probably about 9 or 10 o'clock. So thank you for joining, babe. But we're going to pull a card for that for a message too. Yolanda, she says, I need to see proof of past life. Let's look at the video. All right. Let's look at the video first, because I have had proof. I've had things shown to me and I remember things. So let's see. Let's go with the video.
All right.
While I eat my chips.
Oh, so you don't want me to show you? All right.
Oh, you can show me.
That's hypnosis.
Today we're going to get hypnotized to figure out past lives that we may have experienced.
I'm very nervous. I've never been hypnotized because I like to be in control of myself at all times.
I'm scared of being exposed, and it doesn't mean necessarily just physically naked. I've been practicing past life regression therapy for over 700 years. Today we are going to see 3 different examples of past life regression therapy. This is when a person chooses an issue that he or she would like to overcome. Then we travel back to who the person was, the past life, to the event or events that are going to illuminate the cause of the issue. And from there, we're able to heal it. So Joyce, do you mind having the HypnoCat on your lap?
No, I completely enjoy it.
What is your intention for having your past life regression?
I want to heal my migraines.
For today, I would like to focus on my fear of waves and water.
Is there something in your life you'd like to heal?
It's doubt. It's doubt.
So the induction is to go from a full waking state down into the hypnotic trance.
I feel like you're doing it to me already.
You
are, right?
I am. Now I'm going to show you how powerful you are, Joyce. You are so powerful that you can relax your eyelids wonderfully, totally, and completely. For the subconscious mind knows how to generate healing. Your power word is the word trust, because you can trust yourself more and more. You are now in an alpha state of hypnosis, and we can now hack into the subconscious mind. You can imagine or visualize getting called to an amazing corridor, and you are gliding through. 3, step into the light. 2, step into the light. 1, step into the light. At 0, take a big step forward. You are in another time, in another place. And now look down at your hands. Are you a man or a woman, a boy or a girl?
Woman.
And look at your palms and your fingertips. Are you a girl of leisure, or do you work hard with your hand?
No. I have jewelry on now.
Tell me about the jewelry. Describe it.
They're like teeth, like alligator teeth.
Yes. And describe the landscape, the environment.
It's like a swamp, like high grass.
Travel to your home in your past life. What does your home look like?
Small, on the countryside.
and look around and orient yourself. Do you know in what land you live?
Scotland.
What can you see?
I'm in like a canyon.
And are you alone or are there other people?
There's other people.
Men and women? Men only?
I think it's just men.
Yes. Do you know your name or is someone calling to you, even a nickname?
I heard Alice.
Yes, Alice. Speak your name out loud.
Annabelle.
Tell me about your home.
It's good. It's like alligator people. The alligator means a lot for us.
See if there's anything that you carry.
I have like a tiny bag with me.
I have kids.
Boys, girls?
Boys.
How many?
There's 2.
Tell me about your home.
Don't think we can go home. We shouldn't have left.
No, of course not. Why shouldn't you have left?
The people we're with aren't good.
Let the amazing wisdom of the subconscious mind pull you towards the event that will illuminate and resolve your ambivalence about the ocean. What is happening, Annabelle?
We can't stay here anymore.
No, of course not. Why do you have to leave?
The war. When we go into the water, my mother and my aunt are there.
And what's happening?
I'm pushing their boat into the water and I'm trying to go, but they pull me back. They won't let me leave.
Who's not going to let you leave?
Forces the other side, they won't let me leave.
What happened with the ocean? Take a nice deep breath and release any shame associated with it.
I think for sure I drowned in there, but it was by accident. I think I went in looking for something.
So tell me what you see and be brave.
I left.
Yeah, you left. And who did you leave behind?
I think I left everyone.
Did you go by yourself? Did you take the boys?
No.
It's okay, because this was not a good place for you. And what finally happens?
They hit me on the head
They hit you on the head, and what happened?
and I died.
Yeah. You're at the moment after death, and you are going to go up higher and higher till you connect with every incarnation from all your past lives. You may ask the question, how am I able to release the trauma of wanting to go but having to stay? We're going to go just to the moment after death. You are there. How did you die, Alice?
I'm on the floor.
Something just gave out, huh? And where did you feel it in your body before it happened? You can remember.
My heart.
Yeah. Look at my finger with your eyes closed. Look even more with your wisdom. You can enjoy the ocean. What insight or perspective does the wise self reveal to you? Speak it out loud.
There wasn't really a choice.
And really listen to your wise self. Can you allow yourself to forgive yourself? And give me an honest answer.
I don't know. I thought they'd be fine.
When you were Alice, you didn't have control, freedom, or power. Breathe that in and acknowledge it. And now ask, as a daughter of the 21st century, is being held back still serving you? And if it's not, take a very, very, very deep breath and release being held back. Now I'm going to ask you a question as Kate. Do you have power, freedom, and choice?
Yes.
You have power, freedom, and choice. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Joyce, eyes open, wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm only laughing because I'm very uncomfortable with how intense that was.
It was strange. I was like her at first, and then I like became this alligator.
Damn. I didn't want to say anything. I was so like ashamed of everything I was saying.
Of course.
Yeah.
But your wise self told you you didn't have a choice under those circumstances.
Yeah.
Would you trust me that it stands on its own as what has happened to women for generations who truly had no choice?
It taught me a lot. I usually get a headache around once a day, but today I just feel really calm, really chill.
I have to figure out what I feel about all of this. If it's a way for us to like personifying our underlying guilt from other situations, or if I actually believe in past lives.
It was interesting just because like I'm both super spiritual and at the same time I try to be as logical as possible, and I'm just like, oh, what was real and what was me? It kind of doesn't matter. Like it was just a really good experience to like just let your mind flow exactly the way that it wants to.
Number 5, out of place memories. Have you ever had dreams or memories about a place you thought didn't exist only to find out it in fact did? Perhaps you had images in your mind about details that turned out to be true. This could be an indication that you have had a life prior to your current one. The memories may actually be true and be recurring flashbacks. Number 4, attraction towards specific time periods. Is there a period in history which draws you in? Perhaps it's the fabulous 1950s or maybe the laid-back 70s. This could be because your soul feels comfortable and wants to retract back to this era due to having previously lived through it. If you want to learn more, further explore your curiosity and see if it brings back any memories or encounters. Number 3, precognition. This phenomena is also known as premonitions. It is said humans have a sixth sense which comes about from spiritual energies. If believed in properly, this sixth sense can work wonders and even save one from harm's way. The sixth sense occurs more easily to people who have mastered listening to their own energy. Precognition is a sign of the maturity of one's spiritual energy, which usually comes about if it has been around for quite some time. Number 2, soulmates. It is said that souls are put on Earth in bunches in which they interact with each other and learn the lessons of life together. These groups are called soulmates. The term soulmates does not necessarily only apply to partners but rather to all the important people in one's life. For example, it is possible your sister was your daughter in a previous life, or that your mother will be your best friend. It does not necessarily only apply to partners but rather soulmates will always cross paths with one another in every lifetime. The next time you meet somebody and feel a strong pull towards them, it could be possible you knew them in a past life. Number 1, birthmarks. For many years, birthmarks have been considered to be a sign of the existence of a previous life. There was a doctor by the name of Ian Stevenson who researched the link between birthmarks and reincarnation over the span of his life. What he found was astonishing. Over 3,000 cases were discovered in which children recalled memories that would be impossible to know unless they themselves had lived through them. These children also seemed to have abilities and characteristics that could not be explained as hereditary. Some even say birthmarks are an indication of an injury that occurred in that spot in a former life.
Okay.
That was good. And you know, okay, you doing the Matrix thing on your side over there. Are you a robot? Are you a bot? Or what's going on here?
No, that was my mini lives all trying to group in together.
Oh, they was all trying to come back. Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing, because Yolanda says she's still not convinced, and we're not going to try to convince anybody on here whether there is you believe in past life or not. I'm going to share my experience real quick because I did have a past life regression. And it was very interesting because I had no expectations. I went to this guy for my birthday because it was my enlightenment birthday year, and I was doing all this stuff to spiritually grow. So I went and got this thing done, and I think it was $175 at the time. So it was like, okay, this is a little bit of an investment, but it was cool. When we started it, he hypnotized me, and he put a CD in because he recorded everything that I was saying when I was hypnotized, when I was under. And while I was there, I was kind of like, because I'm a control freak, my mind was like, okay, is this real, or are you just making up stories? Are you really doing this, or are you just making up stories? Because it was really kind of confusing. I heard myself talking. I heard the stories that I was telling, but I was like, okay, is this really my past life? Well, let me tell you. In one of my past lives, I drowned when I was 30. And I don't know, I definitely was a female. I went out and I was trying to get something off of a boat, and I got hit in the back of the legs, and I ended up falling into the water and drowning. In this lifetime, and I've always been able to swim, in this lifetime, I developed a crazy fear of water at 30. I was swimming before then. but now I cannot stand to put my face in water. And it's because when I hit 30, that memory, that life triggered something in me in the water. So when I go in the ocean, I'm just like, because I feel that, I make myself do it, but I feel it. So that was when I went back and listened to the CD, I was like, oh my God, I died at 30. And my fear for water happened in this lifetime at 30. That was the connection. First connection. Second connection was I had a life on an island where I was a fisherman. And I remember explaining and describing the island to him in detail. I remember describing how we pulled the fish in because there was this net and we would get a rhythm and we would rock with it. And I remember I was married to a very good looking man on that island. And some kind of way we had a child together and I caught a very bad infection and I ended up dying. And what they did was they wrapped me in white sheets or white cloth or whatever, and they set me on fire. That was my funeral. And that's what kind of woke me up. I was like, oh, I'm dead. I was dead. I was dead. Fast forward, what was it? Probably 3 years later, my sister said, let's go to Trinidad. I got, free time. We just threw a dart, went to an island. We went on this tour. Guess where we ended up? On the island that I saw in my past life regression. When the guy pulled around the corner, I was like, they're going to be fishing and they're going to pull the rope in like a dance. And he goes, yeah, that's how they pull the fish in. I was like, I've been here. And my sister, of course, was looking at me crazy. But when I got on that island, I felt like I was home. There was a rock. It was a big rock, and I remembered it because I used to go sit out there and look at the sea in my past life. I walked around, and let me tell you, it was a big ass rock still on that beach. So it really connected it with me. If I didn't believe in past lives then, I have since because I travel a lot around the world and there's places I've been before. If you ever come to my house, I have Buddhas all over my house. It's not because I like short, bald, fat men. I have no connection with that. But I love Buddhas. They're everywhere. They're in my job. They're in my house. They're in my bathroom. They're in my bedroom. And it's because I had a life where I actually was some type of monk or warrior. And that was something that I practiced and it connected with me. So when you come to my house, I literally have hundreds of little Buddha statues everywhere. Even within my garden, I told Jazz the other day, I'm creating a Zen garden. And she just looked at me like I was crazy because I already have Buddhas everywhere. Now I'm trying to put them outside. So that is my connection with the past life regression. I thought it was a crock of shit when I first sat in the chair. I wasn't really sure. I still have the video and I listened to it. So it's one of those things where a lot of things connected with the past life regression. It wasn't that I was making the stories up because I actually went to these places and I saw these places. They exist. And I had never been to Trinidad before then. I had never gone to some of these places before then. So it was really an interesting connection. Have you ever had that deja vu where I've been here before type of energy when you come out the matrix?
Oh yeah, I have. Oh, I'm doing the thing.
Yeah. Your past lives, like you say, are all trying to integrate.
Yeah. All right, let me I'm going to change my camera.
Oh, okay. That's right, because you put your GoPro up. And even Laura said on here too that there was this connection of being like we know each other. Texas Airport, there's certain places that people connect with that they feel like I've been here before. This is deja vu for me. And I don't think it's necessarily maybe you hadn't done this in this lifetime. Maybe it's been another life. If you don't believe, I mean, there's a lot of people that believe we die and that's it. There's nothing else. But I can say that when I do readings for people, there are definitely past life readings. There's total connection. And you're going to be, if you ever get a past life reading, you're going to realize that some of the stuff that you dealt with in the past life, you still deal with to a degree in this life. If you haven't figured it out, if you haven't gone through the karma of it, you're going to have some of the same characteristics. Oh, here comes Shishi.
I had to log on with my phone temporarily because the internet's messing up really badly. We're having thunderstorms. So I'm trying to get on with my computer. So sorry, guys. It's just,
No, we understand. We
It
understand.
looks pretty good on the phone, though.
huh?
You have a really great picture on the phone.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is really, really clear. So Becky and Elisa were sirens, besties in the past life. She still has that energy. She still has that energy in this lifetime. So there are certain people that connect to the energy because that's what feels familiar to them. That's what feels comfortable. So let's see, Yolanda, you say you don't believe in past lives, you believe in something else. What is it that you believe in? If you don't believe in past lives or reincarnation, what is it that you connect with? Hey, Vet. Hey, Jay.
While we're waiting on her answer, I'm gonna play a little snippet that from one of our Shabbat services that explains what the Jews think about it.
Okay, cool. That'll be
Okay.
interesting.
All right, so this is Rabbi Jimmy Kessler. He was a guest rabbi back in July, and he was actually our rabbi 2 rabbis ago, if that makes sense. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but so he's really funny. He tells a lot of stories. So here's what he has to say.
I thought I would tell you something about angels in Jewish tradition. If you look at the first line, Shalom Aleichem, and the third word, Malache Asharei, the message is that the angels, each in Jewish tradition, have responsibilities. And the reason and the way that the rabbis have interpreted that over the centuries is that when God issued a commandment, it came out as a word, and hence words in our tradition are significant. The Torah is a simple example of that. It is the totality of God's revelation on Mount Sinai. The idea is then that the words are God's breath, and though that breath goes out and accomplishes a particular task, and then that breath returns to God. And that word for angel, malach, comes from the Hebrew word to walk, and it means to go out. And so the idea in our religious community has been historically that angels are those entities that carry out God's goal, whatever it may have been, and that it goes out and it comes back. That's exactly how you and I are described as human beings. The book of Genesis says, God breathed life into the nostrils of Adam, and Adam became a living creature. Jewish tradition does not believe that life begins at conception. Jewish tradition believes life begins when you breathe through your nostrils. And there's lovely folklore that goes with that. It says that as the baby is being delivered, the guardian angel comes and blows the soul, the breath of God, into the nostrils of the infant. And the infant begins to breathe and becomes a living creature. But at the very same time, the guardian angel hits you in the upper lip so that you get an indentation here. And that's why they have that indentation. And that's why babies are born crying. Now, the reason that the angel hits you is because our theology believes, doesn't say you have to believe this, doesn't say you do believe it. I just want to tell you that's what's there. It believes that every soul is here for a purpose, and when it fulfills that purpose, it returns to God's presence. That's why we don't have a concept of hell in Jewish tradition, because that would presume that a piece of God doesn't go back to God, i.e. God's breath, and that would be heresy. So the idea is that the soul returns to God. Trouble is that when the soul is sitting on the shelf waiting to come again, it sees everything that's happening in heaven, in the future, from the beginning of time to the end of time. So that when the infant is delivered, it has to be bopped in the mouth so it forgets everything that it saw in heaven so it can start all over again. And if you have a deja vu, it's because the guardian angel didn't hit you hard enough.
So that kind of talks about like what Yolanda is saying, that you go back to where you came from, but Rabbi Jimmy's saying that you do come back. It's just they bop you in the mouth so that you forget everything that you saw. But now, when I was doing my research this morning, I was watching a lot of videos, and it's mostly children between the ages of 2 and 6 that can recall these memories, and they recall it very vividly, saying things like, there was one that said, what was it? She told her mom, I like my new dad. My old dad was mean to me.
Yeah.
And then there was this one little boy named James that loved airplanes. And when he was 3 years old, he could recall flying over Iwo Jima and his plane getting shot down. And his parents even went and found old veterans. And it was like a small ship that he was on, that their plane was on, and he remembered the name of their plane and all these events that no one else could have known had they not been there. And he was only 3, so there's no way he could have learned. I mean, I didn't even know how to say Iwo Jima until I was like 15 because it's spelled so weird.
You see that with a lot of kids. Hold up. Laverne wanted to say, does past life regression also apply to speaking in tongues? No. Speaking in tongues, a lot of people consider that the language of the angels or the language of spirit. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's connected to a past life. It means that some people feel connected to spirit, that they can speak that language. And the devil is supposedly not is not supposed to be able to understand the speaking in the tongues. And that's where it comes from for a lot of people, but it doesn't connect with past life energy. Go ahead, Shishi. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was gonna say, I know I apologize if I'm breaking up, but it also applies to miscarriages. A lot of children who have been miscarriages for certain family members, when the person has a child or a baby, they say, oh, we weren't able to make it the first time, but then the second time we got here. And like you'll read certain stories about that. Like, even though it's not completely a past life, I'm just taking on the fact that children remember things.
There was this story of the Pollock twins, about these 2 girls. They were, different ages. They were from the same family, but they both died. And this lady drove over on the sidewalk and hit them, and they died. Well, then a couple years later, the parents got pregnant again, and they had twin girls. And they took on the characteristics and knew things that the other girls knew. They knew which toys, oh, this is my toy, or this is my toy. I got this from Santa Claus, and different things. And one of the girls even actually had the same birthmark on her side that one of the sisters had, but she also had a second birthmark above her eye, like right here above the nose by the eyebrow, from where that girl had fallen into a bucket, or from the previous girl had fallen into a bucket.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Let me see. Yolanda said, what about abortion then? So here's the thing. There are YouTube videos where a child has come back and said, you didn't want me. Supposedly the fetus can feel abandonment inside the womb. A lot of people come out of birth with trauma, because you could be with a mother who does not want them, or a mother who may not be mature enough to understand the bond that is happening at that point. There have been cases of kids who have come back within to that person, and it was like you didn't want me during this time, or you weren't ready for me during this time, and I came back. Why soul picks a particular person? We're not God. I don't think a lot of us will never understand that, but has it happened? Yes, it 100% has happened. Now, Yolanda, I pulled your past life cards because I'm going to give you the energy of a past life, and some of this is going to connect with you in this lifetime. The wars in a battle card came up for you, and this was you as a soldier. This was you as a person who fought, and you fought for the underdog. I feel like very strongly connected to people's pain. You hated for people to be taken advantage of. Some of this energy still is connected to you in this lifetime, where you may feel the need to step forward and defend people, or you may be very political, or you may be very connected because in this lifetime you were. I feel like you were some type of activist. And I think that you ended up dying because of your belief system, because you were trying to protect other people. The other thing is imprisonment and slavery. There could have been a time where you literally were incarcerated. You may be claustrophobic. You may have issues with people trying to lock you down or tell you what you should do, because in this energy, I feel like you were very combative with people that tried to hold you back. This energy still walks with you. We take a little bit of each life and bring it into the present life. So I do feel like there's something that went on with you where you may not like darkness, you may not like cold spaces. Temperature changes may aggravate you because you went through something that was very uncomfortable for you in this lifetime. The third card is karmic relationships. And this is somebody who has a hard time with relationships and connecting to people. You may have issues in this lifetime with love, not being able to find love partners, not being able to connect with love partners because there is something that was unfinished. And some of these people are soulmate connections. You still have to learn lessons with them. So there are past life connections for you. You may not believe in it, but a lot of the characteristics that you carry in this lifetime are because you dealt with some of these things in the past.
You should pull mine
Okay, let's look at yours real quick. Let's
because
look at yours.
I don't have those decks. I know both of y'all have them, but I don't have those decks.
Let's see. I think honestly, whether you believe in it or not, there are characteristics that we bring back. There are moles, there are birthmarks that are stab wounds or shot wounds. There are, bullet wounds. There definitely are things that connect us to a past life. So Lynna, spirit, tell me who Lynna was. Tell me who Lynna was in a past life. One more time, spirit. All right. Okay, one more time. Interesting, because you got a lot of travel cards, and I wonder why. So we definitely have masculine energy. I feel this is a man that was free. He was able to travel where he wanted to because he was a man. I feel like this was a time where if you had been a woman, you wouldn't have had this freedom. So this could have been in the 20s, the 30s, or the 40s. But I definitely feel somebody that likes to get up, with their suitcase. They don't want to be held. They don't want to be, connected to something. They want to have their freedom. This is a card of somebody who traveled quite a bit. They're nomad. And the crazy thing is, you got another card with transportation that shows too masculine energy. So I feel like for a lot of your past lives, you've been a male. I feel like you've been in a situation where it's like, I got to get up and go, or I want my freedom. I even feel like with this past life, you actually worked on something with transportation where you made money off of it. Next life is a mother card. You may find yourself having issues with children in this lifetime. I feel like this woman had a lot of miscarriages, to be honest. Whenever I feel this energy with this particular card, I feel like there's some guilt or there's some karmic relationships that may come with you in this lifetime with children, which means that you may have lost babies again in this lifetime, and you also may have issues with children. This card is this woman wanting to be a perfect mother, but it's it's the visual. It's a visual. She wants to be seen as a perfect mother, but she may have gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. I feel that with this energy. Does she love her kids 100%? Is she trying to live up to something that may be impossible? Yes. Now, does any of that connect with you?
Well, the first one, when you look at that card, it looks like the first card looks like a pyramid, and instead of I don't know if it was tracks or what it was, but it looked like columns. Yeah, that. It from If you look at it, it looks like a pyramid at the top. You see the pyramid?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of reminded me of like the Jewish leaving Egypt.
You could,
And
but I mean,
with the columns, the split, they had to walk through the ocean.
you could go into that because this is your fifth card. So maybe you have a connection, but whatever it is, you're a nomad. You're never meant to be stable. You're never meant to be stagnant. There's an energy in your lives, more than one life, where you have always moved. You have always traveled. So in this lifetime, you're gonna pick up and you're gonna travel more. You're gonna do it because you don't feel comfortable being stable and stagnant. Anything that you get, and you keep looking at RVs,
Yeah.
anything that you get has to have wheels on it. You have to move. And
Yeah.
you're
And if a hurricane comes, I want to be able to crank up my house and go. And then come back and all my shit be okay.
well, babe, you're gonna have wheels. I promise you,
I,
you will
I,
always have wheels.
I don't want to stay in a hotel with bed bugs. I can stay in my own place.
You're a nomad. You've been a nomad in several lives. And because you've been a man in most of your lives, you probably have issues with men in this life. The energy. There's something off with the energy.
I have the tendency to emasculate men because I take control.
Because you're a man. You've been a man in the majority of your lives. You've had masculine energy. So your energy crosses over. Even though you have a vagina in this lifetime, you still move like you have a penis.
Oh, okay.
So we carry something from every past life into this life. Because if you haven't learned a lesson, you get a little snippet of it. And people say they don't remember it. But there's certain things that trigger us because we connect with the energy. When we meet certain people, we connect with the energy. Shishi's been in my life for a while. You've been in my life for a while because somewhere we connect with the energy of each other.
One of the videos was about a man in Alaska, and he was a fisherman, and this is back in the 50s, and he gave his gold watch to his son, and he says, "When I come back as your son, give me back my watch." He said, "And you're going to know it's me because I got two birthmarks. They're here and here. And I'm going to have the same birthmarks when I come back." And then 15 years later, he did.
So one thing, my cards are packed up. I thought I had unpacked my past life cards. They're packed up in the boxes with my Akashic record cards, and someone in the house has moved my boxes around. And I got tons of boxes until I unpack. So that was not fun. But on the other note, I found my Visconti Madroni deck, which was kind of most important. Because that box finally came in. It came in like a week ago, and I've been here for 7 months. So that was my box of tarots that was missing. But as far as like the past, I know, and I got a lot of decks, so I was making sure I had my decks. But what I find interesting, when you pull the cards for Lynna, a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, we got the past life cards, just to see what we did." But a lot of the time, you get your past life reading so that you can see what it is that you need to heal and what it is that you need to correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that you don't repeat that lesson should you choose to come back another life, or just so you can evolve and ascend just in case you don't want to come back another life. So that's what makes the past life so important.
And like in the video in the very beginning, she asked them, "Why are you wanting to do a past life regression?" And one answer was, "My fear of ocean," or "I have self-doubt," or "I have migraines on a daily basis. I want to find out why these things are going on." And because it does affect your life now. The one lady who had migraines was knocked over the back of the head and killed. So it was like something hitting her in the head. the guy who was afraid of water had drowned. And I guess the woman who had self-doubt was that she left her kids behind in a past life and then always doubted that she did the right thing.
Yeah. Like Shishi said, it can be healing. The past life regression for me was very interesting, but also very freeing because I never understood why I became afraid of the water at 30.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never had a mishap. I never, it wasn't like I almost drowned in this lifetime and I felt like, oh, I need to be afraid of the water. I literally just stopped going into water and putting my face in it because I felt like when the water would hit my face, I could not breathe. I'm struggling. I'm dying. That past life regression literally brought it out. And that wasn't even a question. I didn't even know I needed to heal that. But I had to make peace with the water in this lifetime so I could get back in the water. A lot of times when I do past life regression or past life readings, I tell people you have to forgive yourself in that life, especially when it's a negative or it's a traumatic energy, because like she said, you're remembering it because it needs to be healed, because it's still going to cause you problems. If you had relationship problems in the past life and you're still having relationship problems, you got to heal it because you got to look at yourself and figure out why. Did I get divorced 14 times? Was I with an abuser? Was I a cheater to this person? Because sometimes it's not always the other people. It's the energy that we carry. There's a guilt, and that's what we work on. Let's see. I'm trying to look at Laverne. Laverne was saying something about being in Egypt and being a warrior. But I feel like you were captured and tortured because of your belief. So you do connect with Egypt. But to be honest, I feel like that if you were a warrior, that you died there, that there was something that an energy that you put into that lifetime that will resonate with you. Like you martyred yourself, you sacrificed yourself for your beliefs or for your country. If you were a queen, definitely is showing somebody who is wearing some type of royalty in the cards. But I definitely feel like you martyred yourself for that lifetime. I really do. And that could be why you remember that, because you gave up your life for it. Oh, Laura wants to know our connection. I'm gonna let y'all talk. Laura wants to know what our connection was in a past life. So, do y'all have something to add?
You already know I was your mama.
You probably were because you still trying to mother me. You still trying to
Oh
mother
my
me.
God.
Well,
I
that
wonder
is,
who I was to Lynna and who I was to you then. I definitely was not either one of you guys' mother. I can tell you that right now.
well, even if
That
you
wasn't
remember,
happening.
the mother card even showed up in my cards a while ago too. So maybe that was a message for you. I was your mom.
Interesting. So,
Um,
Laura,
Starlit Sky is asking what's the name of those cards.
It's the
of
past
course,
life with deck with Doreen Virtue and it's
Bradley
Doreen
Bell.
Virtue and another guy.
yeah, but Doreen took her name off of the cards years ago because, of course, she found Jesus. So you can actually go on
She was
Amazon
in
or
a cult. You mean? But go ahead.
well, whatever way. You can go on Amazon and eBay because the Chinese are duplicating these cards now. It used to be that these cards went up to $300 because if you got the deck with Doreen Virtue's name on it, it's a collector's deck. But there are cards that are like this now that are like $12. So if you see this deck for 300, do not purchase because China has knocked
It's
them off.
well, it's $12 on Amazon and it's Doreen Virtue and Brian L. Weiss, MD. And that's
Uh,
definitely the knockoff version, but yeah.
yeah, because if you see something with her name on it now for $12, it's a knockoff.
Yeah, for
This is
sure.
definitely a knockoff.
For
Maybe
sure.
I'll be right back. Y'all go ahead.
You can find them. You can 100% find them. Amazon, eBay. Laura, it's interesting. because it looks like our connection had something to do with health. Either you could have been a medicine woman, I could have been a medicine woman, but we also have a spiritual connection. We could have been from a same tribe, we could have been from a same community, but it looks like that we were drawn together because either a health issue or a spiritual issue. And it's crazy because I feel like that's how we came back together in this lifetime, which is really interesting. Really interesting. I don't feel it's not showing that we were sisters, but it definitely is showing that we had a connection that had something to do with spirituality. You could have come to me for healing in that lifetime, or I could have come to you for healing, but we created a spiritual bond. And it's weird because we have a spiritual bond in this lifetime.
I'm glad you brought up the knockoff cards because I forgot that I had bought the knockoff cards. So I do have these cards.
Ooh, yay, Lynna.
Those and the life purpose cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the knockoff cards are still good quality though.
I like them better because they're smaller and they fit my hands better.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest.
I have the knockoff Romance Angels cards. I should have got them when they were the original ones, but I didn't. But the smaller ones do work better. I'm looking at Laverne Calhoun's question. How do you heal from the various issues other than just forgiving yourself and shadow work? Do you scary? I don't know what that means. Burn candles, consultations, therapy. Why not all of those things?
Oh, do you scry?
Do you scry? Okay. Why not all those things? There are some things that you're not going to be able to heal from by yourself. And shadow work, just because you're doing shadow work doesn't mean that shadow work does not include therapy. Therapy is definitely useful when it comes to trauma. So you can do all those things. Whatever is needed to be able to heal so you can ascend and evolve is what needs to be done. So just answering that simply.
And I think too, especially with therapy, you do have therapists now that actually deal with past life regression. And it's a series. It's not like, oh, you get hypnotized and that's it. You actually have therapists that help you work through it. Nadia does a lot of hypnosis and past life work where it's like, okay, if you were scared of water and let's figure out why and let's fix it. If you were scared of somebody with fire, or if you have unhealthy habits, like you are an alcoholic in this lifetime because maybe you had addiction issues in the past lifetime, there are licensed therapists that not only can hypnotize and go into that lifetime or that past life image, but also help you work through it.
Go ahead. I was going to tell Layla that I like farming. I like canning vegetables and things like that. For Shishi, I got these 3. Well, what I get? The health card. And you're always trying to help people and heal people with herbs and different things. Then the persecution and inquisition. But here's the one. It's a monk or a nun.
Interesting.
So
the monk or nun card to me always is about a person who takes vows, a person whose word is their word. Shishi is going to get irritated with people that don't keep their word to her, because with that card, to me, it always talks about, I made an oath to you. I gave you my word. Well, so her word is bond.
Isn't that what we were talking about the other day about the doctors? Remember when we were talking about that?
Yeah.
Doctors?
About the vaccine and stuff. You're right.
So if she was a doctor or a medicine woman or whatever, she could have been the the old woman that lives in the shack out in the swamp and been persecuted for that.
It's the energy is definitely and I mean, of course, you could connect with the cards and do a whole past life reading, which I'm pretty sure she has for herself. But a lot of times when people see themselves as religious people, they think about because religion in past lives, depending on what era that you lived in, can be completely different than the way you see it now in this lifetime.
But
But
she could have been the healer, and she could
yeah,
have even burned, because we know she was a witch. We
yeah,
already know she was a witch, so she could have been the healer.
yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
let's see what I can get for Tonya.
Tell me who I was.
Girl, my ears still feel clogged up a little bit, like I got water in them, but I don't. But
Serenity.
I'm feeling much better.
Serenity, I pulled 6 cards for you, and this was the last card. So you say, why am I afraid of heights? I can't even watch a movie with heights. The phobia card came up, which means that you dealt with this in a past life. You may have fallen off a mountain. You may have done something where, because there's something that triggers you. This is an imprint. Whenever I feel like people are like, I'm scared of drowning, or I'm scared of burning, or I'm scared of falling, that's an imprint, because it's so strong that the moment that you go up on top of a building, you're like, oh, I can't breathe. You start to feel everything. When I look at water movies, on like shark movies and people drowning on TV, I feel like I'm drowning, like I can't breathe. It is so uncomfortable, and it's because it's an imprint. It triggers me. So that you may need to go see a therapist with, because they can help you. They can help you get past that. But you may have had a past life where you had a very it could have been something traumatic that ended in your death, and that's why it imprinted on you. Because there's certain things that we don't remember. I don't remember if Billy Bob broke my heart in a past life, because evidently it wasn't imprinted on me. But it doesn't mean that it still can't cause relationship problems. But certain things we do, it literally, it sticks with our soul, not with our mind and things like that, with our soul, because that energy comes back. If you believe it comes back.
You are a man.
I always am a man in my past life readings, and I can tell you why. I stroke my imaginary beard and I scratch my imaginary penis.
Oh no, you were like royalty though. See, here we got finances, because you all about the money,
I'm a
working
workaholic in
4
this
or 5
lifetime.
jobs,
I'm a work.
knighthood. So
Yeah.
you're royalty,
And I'm always
and
fighting.
I'm the mother. You're the father.
And I had
She's a baby.
Well, I had a very tumultuous relationship with father figures in my past life, and I really didn't know my father in this lifetime. My mom divorced him when I was a baby. He went off to Vietnam, and when he came back, we didn't bond, and then he died. So unfortunately, for a lot of my past lives, I don't have good relationship with father figures. I don't. And it always shows in my cards.
You get along good with pops though, don't you?
I get along with men that are surrogate fathers, but I don't get
Mm.
along with biological connections with men, even for the father of my kid.
Well, I'm gonna agree with like Laura. Your penis is ready, Your Royal Highness. But the fact that you're telling us that you stroke your imaginary penis is very intriguing.
I don't
That's
stroke
all
my
I'm saying.
imaginary penis. It's like every now and then I feel like I gotta itch or I gotta adjust. Then when I do my beard.
I want to let you know that when I see you doing that, you're never living that down. I'm gonna text you on live.
If you
I'm
watch
like,
my
leave your
Friday,
beard alone.
if you watch my Friday night lives, you will notice that every now and then I lean forward and I do this because in my mind I have a beard. I
Well,
do.
I can say I've been mostly a woman, most of my past lives, all the time.
Mm.
Um, it's because I'm obsessed with, and also I'm obsessed with boobs, right? Like I'm a boob woman, so I'm like, there's no way I can't see giving up my boobs, right? But I've always been,
I
for
never
the most
had them.
part, except
I
for
don't
the two
worry about
legs.
it. But
For the most part, I've always been a woman, and I have always been the woman that went against the grain.
I can see
That
that.
makes sense. So,
I think that's why the persecution card is on you, because a lot of times you were probably held accountable for your beliefs. And that's
oh, for
probably why
sure.
the persecution card is there. There are things that we definitely bring back in this lifetime that we, like you said, that it either works for us or it works against us.
ah, Veronica, for you, I got the persecution and it's funny because it also says Inquisition and it has ships. So you think back to the Inquisition, the ships coming across the water and all kinds of stuff, but they're telling you that you need to forgive yourself or give forgiveness. That's what your issue is. Oops.
And it's interesting. Oh, go ahead, Lynna.
No, I was going to say I don't remember history. I mean, it's been a while since I've been in school, but wasn't like the Spanish Inquisition. They come over on the ships and they had prisoners on the ships, and because that's the kind of feeling that I'm getting with her.
It could be. There's a big controversy of people that when they go back to race and cultures, a lot of people are like, well, you couldn't have experienced that past life because you're white or you're Hispanic or you're Native American. So there's no way. We got to think people are looking at, recent past lives, but for some people, you've been here hundreds, thousands of times. Your soul has continuously, it's learning a lesson. So I
See,
think a lot of people, they get confused with the timing on it.
she's saying her grandparents are from Spain, so it makes sense.
I was looking at Lala. She said, "So you think we choose how we come back or no?" And for me, I think that answer is yes, right? Because we say that we want to learn a certain lesson, or maybe there's something that we need to go through. So we choose, am I coming back as this race? Am I coming back as this gender so that I can ascend and evolve where I need to go? Because in reality, when we move on, there's no gender, there's no race. We're just the soul.
Yeah.
And the
That's
energy.
one of the ways that I explain it too is if you've ever been near someone or even a pet when it dies, because I don't know many people, I don't think either one of y'all have been around like a person when they actually died, but maybe you have. But you've been around pets when they die. And when they die, you know that that's when their spirit left, but you didn't see it, right? Because the soul has no color. So you can't say just because I was watching one of the videos that I was watching this morning was a Caucasian woman remembering her life as an 8-year-old African male.
Happens a lot.
And so, that's different race and different gender.
Well, I think when you live in present terms, because of race and gender and culture, those are things that we use to describe people. So people tend to connect with that with past lives. And I hear a lot of people go, well, I couldn't have been white. I could, because I never would want to be white. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm sorry. You were right. It is what it is. But maybe your soul chose to come back and experience it that at that time. What was somebody was saying? Let me see. Yolanda, can you come back? Can you choose to be wealthy or die wealthy? There's tons of people that have come back and been royalty, that they may have died royal as a royalty. So you do, I feel like it's like a computer chip when you come back. You're loading your I don't want to say, what do they call it? Um your life, your blueprint,
Your program.
your program, your contract. It's if you believe in reincarnation, it's said that we come back with a blueprint of how we want to live this life. Some people have to come back and experience things like tragedy because they don't know what it feels like. That's part of their load. I want to know what it feels like to lose a child. So this time I'm going to come back into this life and have a child that was lost so that I can feel that pain. So my evolution connects with that. I want to feel what it is to be wealthy or be poor. I need to connect with that because my soul hasn't connected with that energy. I need to know that because I need to evolve. We don't come here to live the same. If we all came here to be princesses and royalty every single life, what do you learn? You don't evolve. You live a comfortable life, but I don't think the universe has it set up that way. If it was, shit, we all be living in a palace right now. But it's not set up that way. We come here to learn.
Yeah, to reach a stage of enlightenment.
Now, if you had a fuck up lifetime this time, yeah, you might want to start going ahead and manifesting. I don't want to come back like this. Shit, there's some people who don't want to come back, period. I get a lot of people in my inbox that want to commit suicide. I don't want to come back. But guess what? They're going to come back, and they're going to come back to that same goddamn energy. I feel it.
Now, let me ask you something. It was a while ago, and I don't even remember who it was. Oh, yes, I do remember who it was. But they were talking about committing suicide because they knew that they would be with this person again in the next lifetime, so they go ahead and kill themselves so they can go ahead and come back. What do you think about that?
Okay, so they were going to kill themselves so that they could be reincarnated with the person again, so that they could heal themselves and be in a relationship. But how do you know you're not going to come back as a male? I guess his contract or her contract.
And the other person's still alive.
I don't know.
So was it a breakup?
Well, they have been broken up for a while, yeah.
So here's the deal with that, right? This is my perspective. And I mean, some people may agree, some people may not. But once again, that goes back to that blueprint, that programming, right? We said that we wanted to evolve, we wanted to learn something. So I think that when we sometimes, if he's saying that person's alive and he just wants to die so he can have a reset, so he can be back with this person, then you end up learning that lesson that you have to learn either way, still with that same person.
The healing still has to take place.
It could be that next life when they do come back, right? They may not be a couple. It could be brother, sister. It could be so many different things, because this person may want to come back and say, okay, well, next time for my evolution, I want to be so-and-so on's friend or brother.
Exactly. If he or she is writing a different contract, I have made soulmate connections in this lifetime. I don't remember none of these men from the past life, how they looked. What I connect with is their energy. Their energy feels similar to me, but I couldn't tell you if they were white, Asian, black, or what, because we're not recognizing the vessel changes. We're not going to come back with the same vessel. I'm not going to come back looking like Tonya. I might come back like a dude, and maybe a white dude or a Hispanic dude or whatever. So I don't think you can control that to that level. That would be a really interesting way. And I think with desperation, when you are hurting in this lifetime, we tend to look for things like that make sense to us. But in reality, the vessel is going to be completely different. How will he know who this person is? Or how will she know other than energy?
Yeah, and I think too, it might take several lifetimes for those two particular souls to come back together. Because I don't think we have soulmates we travel with from lifetime to lifetime, but is that every lifetime, or does it skip?
Well, I think like the Erica Badu song, when she says, I guess I'll see you next lifetime, because she's hoping that she gets a do-over with this person, because maybe she met them when they were later in life. Or maybe the timing was off. So she's like, I hope I get to come back and do this over with you.
But the thing is also, right,
this person.
You have to remember, not everybody has the same belief. So like, we're saying it from this perspective. Some people are like, well, if you have your karma, you're coming back as a piece of grass.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can come back as a piece of grass and she'd be the cow that's eating on the grass.
It's interesting because, like you say, everybody has a different perception of what coming back, or if you are ever coming back, or if there is an afterlife. So if you are in a relationship with somebody who doesn't believe in an afterlife or a reincarnation, their contract definitely is going to be completely different than what you're writing into your contract.
Well, if he comes back as a piece of grass, she's going to end up a weed hitting, probably. Just saying.
Or she might be the cow that's eating the grass. That's what I'm saying.
It
It could be a
could
whole
be.
bunch of different things.
That would be interesting. It would 100% be interesting because I think for a lot of people they see things different. Tiff Tiff, your sixth card is the galactic card, which means that you haven't been from Earth before anyway. So there may be a reason why you feel disconnected with the Earth because there's been a past life where you haven't connected to the Earth.
Huh.
So it's interesting because it looks like there is some greater knowledge. So, you could be, what do they call them? The reptilian,
Starseed.
yeah, the star seed. There's a disconnect because there's been a life where you have not been connected to the earth. So more than likely you feel like I don't belong here. The energy doesn't feel right. The people feel weird to me. There's that thing of not being connected to this place. And it's because you are not up. Starseed. Thank you, Ro. And Shishi.
Yeah, and Arthurians.
Yeah. Tiff Tiff say Earth is ghetto. It's shit. We ain't seen these other planets. These other planets might be ghetto too.
I don't know, but that song "Earth is Ghetto" and that the girl sings and asking the aliens to come pick her up because Earth is ghetto is great. That's what I just thought about.
Oh shoot. Let me see. Lola said something too. Go ahead, Lynna.
This is for Ro, so if you want to help me, because I haven't used these cards, this is my first time. So we got Egypt, but now
Well, that could be a connection with Africa. That could be a thing with, she might like Egyptian art. She may be into African culture. She may be interested in researching it. She could even have family or ancestors in this present lifetime that are still connected there.
and then I got the mother and the father. So that's interesting.
Birthplace for her, maybe that's where she originated, or she actually has connections with.
It could be her ancestors are from there.
Yeah. Whenever you are too
she says I do. She does.
Whenever you have certain things that you are drawn to strongly in this lifetime, there is a connection with it in your past life. Buddhas. There's no reason for me to be crazy about Buddhas. There's certain what do you call it, hobbies and things that I love to do that are they're just out of the blue for me. And when people come over, it's like, oh, how did you even get into it? It just was there. I love to do it.
Oh, okay.
She wanted to be an archaeologist when she was a child. Interesting. I like ruins. I want to be one so bad as a kid. I think a lot of us wanted to be archaeologists because I even wanted to be one too. Lala said, I want to come back as a cat.
Julia said she wanted to be a nun. Didn't you want to be a nun, Tonya?
I wanted to be a nun. I almost was a nun in this lifetime, but I do have spiritual and biblical connections in my past life. So it's not that uncommon because I've always been spiritual in most of my lives, most of them. But yeah, I wanted to be a nun in this lifetime. I was going to marry Jesus, y'all.
Until woo child.
Yes, until Chili Red. Chili Red came in and rubbed on that booty, and I was like, Jesus, who? But Jesus forgave me. He forgave me because he my homeboy. He knew I had to go. He knew I was going to be trouble as a wife anyway. He already knew that.
Probably, I can see that. There would be some issues.
Oh, yeah. He knew I was going to be trouble.
I think once I wanted to be a nun. I was like, Mom, I'm going to go. I'm going to be a nun. So then I can just have food and I don't have to be bothered with people. And I just have to go out there and like pray with them. And she's like, there's a lot more to being a nun than that. I was like, I don't want to do it.
Then it pulls your card, monk and nun. So evidently you done it. You registered with that before.
Maybe, you know what? Then I knew it. I was like, I'm not doing it again. I was like, oh, wait, nope, I remember that. That was some nonsense or something. I don't know. It could have been that.
Yeah, you registered with it for sure.
Let's see.
go with the 6 card
Oh,
for
I got for Lala, I got lessons and blessings, spirituality and religion, and Atlantis.
So Atlantis takes her back to being an old soul. Lessons and blessings too could also mean that she has a lot to teach or a lot of knowledge to share with people, because maybe that was something. Atlantis comes back with a lot of ancient knowledge. What was the other one? Spiritual.
Spirituality and religion.
Yeah. So she may be an old soul that has a lot of knowledge that is going to be shared with people in this lifetime, or either very much a very strong spiritual connection with the with people on the other side. But I'm like somebody who said they want to come back as a cat. That's what I want to come back to a wealthy family. I want to be a
That
cat
that, that was
to a
Lala.
wealthy family. I want to have my own room with my snacks. I want them to get me groomed. Yes.
A litter robot. Girl, I've
Yeah.
been checking out the. Have you seen those litter robots?
Yeah. Is that the one that turns and cleans?
Yeah, it looks like something like an R2D2 almost.
Oh no, I haven't seen those.
Oh yeah, I've been thinking. I'm gonna have to give me one of those.
And Laura says she wants to come back as a swan, mating for life. That would be interesting.
Penguins mate for life too, though.
Yeah, it's crazy because in most of my lifetimes, I end up dying or my mates end up dying. Very rarely do I have lifetimes where I grow old with somebody. So that's interesting. And I don't kill them either. Let me be clear, just in case I have any suitors or admirers out there. I ain't killed none of them. They all just, it was their time to go, or it was my time to go. But yeah, I maybe I
She's
maybe have a handful of lives where I've actually been with somebody till death do us part type of energy to old age. But for a lot of them, no. Even though I have thought about killing my ex in this lifetime, but he ain't married to me no more, so it wouldn't be the same thing. Is it true your birthmark is how you died? I've read up on that, and it's interesting because there are people who have been. I'll ask them, "Do you have a birthmark on your back because you were stabbed in your back?" And some people will be like, oh my God, I do have one," or on their stomach. Is it always true? There's this guy on YouTube. I can't remember his name, and I need to look it up. But he was like, "No, it's not always true.
No,
Some,
it's not. I do.
Sometimes it could be a wound or something like that, but you didn't die from it."
I believe that sometimes it can be true because there was a baby in Thailand that had a birthmark on the back of his head and then also above his right eye. And in his previous life, he had been shot in the back of the head, and so the bullet come out through the eye, and that's why he's got the two birthmarks. But now my sister has a long, jagged birthmark down the side of her leg, and my dad was a logger when my mom was pregnant, and he had cut his leg with a chainsaw. He had like jumped back and cut his leg
Wow.
home, and it scared my mother and marked my sister while she was in the womb.
Yeah, well, they do show scientifically that there are some people that if they aren't born with a birthmark somewhere in their lifetime, they may get cut or injured where there is some type of correspondence to a past life. It's not rare. There's a lot of information about it out there. I mean, I think honestly, if you wanted to go down a rabbit hole with this, you could spend hours researching and looking at these tapes, even with people who come back and they look, you see pictures of them from 1940, and then you see somebody in 2021 and it's like, oh my God, they're the same person. Of course, that's bloodline. Somewhere down the way, bloodline crossed. Is there a reincarnation where a person comes back looking exactly the same? They can't prove that. They cannot prove it, other than maybe it could be ancestry. Let me see. Hey, Lala, I can see those cards being valid. Lisa told me that is going to apply in my life, and I'm not fucking with the religious responsibility I'm supposed to have. Like Shishi said, past life readings, a lot of people want to know who I was. The past life reading really is to show you who you are at this point and what you need to work on to get the most out of this lifetime. If you had problems with relationships in a lot of your past lives, it's like, okay, now yeah, you need to go to therapy. You need to work on that. If you have problems with money, like in my past lives, money comes up a lot in my cards. I'm a workaholic in this lifetime because I do not want to be poor. Am I poor? No, but I have this fear that is not validated, but that I'm going to be poor. So I worked the dog shit out of myself. But it was because I dealt with issues of poverty. So there's a part of my soul that's like, no, we ain't doing this again. We are not going to be poor. And in this lifetime, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that it does not happen. Is it unhealthy? It can be. You know, I'm working myself to death for what? Something that triggered me. So that's something.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that the reason you would get a past life reading is to deal with the issues or figure out where the issues that you're having today are coming from.
True.
Or reason, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be issues. It could be like Ro was saying earlier. She wants to be an archaeologist, and she's got connections to Egypt and all that kind of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So it can deal with not only the issues, but find out where you're getting these desires from. It's not going to tell anybody. They've never told me, oh yeah, that person was Joan of Arc or whoever. And most people, I don't. Most people want to believe that they're a famous person, but just because somebody's not famous doesn't mean they weren't important.
Well, and that's true. I think people look for a past life for validation to give them worth in this lifetime. Because when you read for a lot of people, a lot of especially a lot of Black women are like, I was a queen in Egypt. I was a queen in Egypt. And I was like, okay, I get that, because that would have been the right time to be a queen, during that period. But does it come out in the readings? Not all the time. Some people are servants. Some people were they were spiritual leaders. So you have to understand there could be a connection to Egypt, but you have to figure out, and through the reading you can kind of see, because a lot of times I can pinpoint the energy, or I can feel the energy of like, yeah, no, you maybe weren't royalty, you worked for royalty. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that validation. Nobody wants to know that they were a slave in the past life. Nobody wants to connect with that energy.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to be a queen back in that time, because you think about it, the women didn't have a choice. The men just said, oh, that's who I'm going to marry, or they're set up and they don't even know. So they didn't marry for love. And most of the time, the women were miserable, whether they had the title of queen or not.
Some women, not all. You had some powerful women that definitely connected.
True, but most of the time, the women didn't even have a choice.
Yeah, but Cleopatra was what? The face that launched 1,000 ships. Men were killing over her.
There's a lot of queens that there's a lot of Egyptian queens that they don't talk about.
I mean, like these people were just sitting there letting people kill themselves. Like, go ahead, do it. Okay, you love me, go kill yourself.
Let me rub your hair and drink this poison because you're so in love with me. Like Yolanda said, everybody wants to be the chief in the past life, but not the Indian, because it gives you validation in this life. Especially if you're struggling in this life, you want to think you were royalty. And some people are. Some people were. There's ancestry that shows it. The bloodline doesn't lie.
But there are very important people who may not be royalty or be famous.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the most important people throughout history were not royalty.
Exactly. And that's true. That is true. Lori, go ahead.
I wanted to answer the question of Victoria Baker. What does it mean when they say you were born with a veil on your face? I don't know.
Go ahead.
That's what is it called when you come out? What's the thing that covers it? Is it the what is it, placenta? What is it that covers your face? It's when a child comes out and the placenta is covering their face or still has, enclosed them. They say that when that happens, the child will be able to see the other realms of the world. So they'll be able to see the dead pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's what having a veil over your face means.
Yeah,
So they
it's a
say that when
psychic connection.
yeah, you'll definitely be connected to spirit world. You have no choice. Pretty much is when they say you have a veil over your face. So yeah, just answering that. It's different. But yeah, it doesn't mean that you'll be able to. Call. Thank you. I was like, what is it called? Thanks, Julia. I was like, that thing. The call. Sorry.
Yeah. Some people
Veil
have,
over your
yeah,
face.
some people have it and still can't see shit because they're still trying to look out of these two eyes.
Well, I think, a lot of people would be scared. I mean, you have to admit that it's not always fun seeing into that other dimension, seeing the other world. It's not always fun. And a lot of people are like, we want to be able to have this gift. And I look at people, I'm like, are you sure you want that gift? Because there may be days you're waking up and you're like, what the hell is that sitting over
Yeah.
there? you know?
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
always fun. But just because you have the veil or you come out with a veil doesn't mean that you know your past lives. So that's just another clarification. That's
Oh,
it.
I think Marcus said Helen of Troy was the face that launched 1,000 ships.
Thank you. I was like, who was the face that lost 1,000 ships? Thank you, Marcus. Of course he would know. He knows
And Sand say, I feel royal no matter who I was in the past life. Sand is like, I am royalty. Baby manifested. I'm all
go
about
for
that.
it.
Manifest. I think the thing about it is that like Shishi literally put, if you're gonna delve into your past, be prepared that there are gonna be some energies that are gonna trigger you. And you're going to be triggered because there's some things that definitely are going to need to be healed. Just like in this lifetime, there's dysfunction, there's other issues that we carry and we carry over. Some of us, you might come back with a soulmate that is a mother or a father that you still have issues that you need to deal with. You may have problems with your children. There are things that definitely, for some people, you're going to have to heal it if you are ready to close the door on it.
Mm-hmm. It's like some people when they see that they had a life partner, a soulmate that's intimate, they're scared to let it go, or they're scared to like just say, okay, we can be friends.
Yeah.
Which we all know. We all been there like, this is a soulmate connection. We do not want to let that go.
The intensity of
Because
it.
it's the intensity of it. And I was watching a video was sent to me. And this man said, yes. He goes, I just want to tell y'all, I feel the definition of soulmate is incorrect. And so I was like, incorrect? What is he talking about? He said, I don't believe that soulmates are born. He goes, I believe soulmates are made. Decision.
Well, shit, a lot of
He
people out
said,
here forcing people to be soulmates. I believe that.
he's like, soulmates are made through decision. Soulmates are somebody that you run into that you guys have made the decision you're going to do something. He goes, and then that creates the bonding for a soulmate. He goes, and you may find that the strongest connections you have are the ones that you guys made that decision, and you guys pass on and you come back. And that's why that energy is so strong. But I mean, that's something I'm going to have to research into. But I just thought that was an interesting take
It makes
on that.
sense when you have a man or a woman that has been in a relationship with somebody and they are in love and it's intense and they don't want to let go of it. I have people that will argue me to death. He's my soulmate. He's my soul. I don't care what you say in this reading. He's my soulmate. And she will stay there 15, 20 years because the bond is there, or either she's trying to make that bond stronger. So yeah, I do believe you can make a soulmate. Is it a healthy soulmate? It depends on why you're trying to bond.
Also very true.
Yeah. So I mean, if you are with somebody and they want it and you want it, of course, you can make a very strong, intense connection. So yeah, I believe that. I'm gonna look into it too. I catch a man on the street. You my soulmate. I don't give a shit how you feel. You my soulmate. I'm about to take you. My soulmate. Come over here. Eat this food. Come on, you can do that. Now, in some places, they call that stalking, but we got to be careful. We got to be
God.
careful. It's what word you use.
Like, yeah, no, that sounds like some misery stuff where you're about to break his legs and have him in the bed and be like, I'm your biggest fan.
You know what they be saying? I'm your soulmate. You just don't know it yet. You just
Right.
don't know it. Your eyes haven't opened up. Let me put some spiritual baths on you a little bit. Let me put some of these herbs in your food so you can see
It's
clear. I'm gonna help you
possible.
out.
It
I'm
is
gonna
possible.
It is possible. I believe it. I do believe it. And I believe that some people can connect with soulmate energy and the other person may not understand it or they could be very afraid of it.
Yeah.
And that
I think a lot of
definitely
people I think a lot of people are determined to have soulmates be intimate partners or past life people. They're like, no, this connection is so strong, it had to be something intimate. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's like that connection is because that person was your brother in the past life, or your sister, or your mom, or something else. It's not always something romantic.
that's true.
So,
That's actually true. Okay, so we did not get to the Akashic Records because we were going to do past life and Akashic Records. So are we going to do Akashic Records next time?
We can,
yeah, let's
yeah.
do Akashic Records next week. Hopefully I'll be able to find my deck.
Okay, we'll talk about it, and maybe we'll pull some messages from it and see what maybe Spirit wants you to know. But I have not dwelled deep into the Akashic records. I
They're
haven't.
fun.
Okay, so I got to research. I got to study so that I can, you know, talk about, have a conversation with you guys because I really, even with my deck, I think I've only pulled from this deck maybe once when I got it. I haven't really
I
even
think
gone in. Yeah, I haven't. I might even do me a spread when I hang up, see what's going on, what messages Spirit has.
well,
This
the
was a
Akashic
really good.
Records are your whole life, the past, present, and future. It's your whole entire
Ah,
life. And so when you go into the Akashic Records for someone, like you can even do it reverse for yourself, but when you go into the Akashic Records for someone, you're telling them their past, their present, and all these things. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's what the Akashic Records said. They're set in stone. The Akashic Records are constantly moving, especially when the future hasn't been set. So a
mhm.
person's Akashic Record, their book can change. And that's what makes the Akashic Records so interesting is that they're not stagnant.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, it looks like you're gonna be leading that conversation next week.
She's like,
How do you know? Because I've been studying them. So
Well, that's perfect. That's perfect because I'm coming in green, but I'm gonna study. I'm gonna read up and research and see because I've had somebody do a reading for me a couple of years ago with it, and she was on point with a lot of things, but I've never looked into it anymore after that. So y'all, next week definitely Akashic Records, and I hope y'all guys enjoyed the talk today. I think it was really good. It's gonna open up a lot of questions, research. Nobody is the master of anything on here. So if there's anything that you are still confused with, there's so much out there with past lives. Research. Like I said, we're not on here trying to change anybody's opinion or thought process, but look into it.
yeah,
um,
definitely.
Laura said the records are hidden in Lemurian quartz also, which I have Lemurian quartz.
Mm-hmm.
I do have that. Is it if that is true, then everything in the future can change. Yolanda, the future is never set in stone because there's
Free
so many
will.
different possibilities. And so how I look at the future is just imagine you standing in a room and there's a million possibilities and bubbles floating around and you lift your hand up and you just pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day you can change it. You have free will. Even if you get a reading, you have free will. If I tell you to turn left and you turn right, that's changed.
Remember,
Everything
Yeah.
is changed.
remember when on that episode of Supernatural where Dean went and met with Death, not the
Yeah.
old, the new Death,
The black
the
girl.
yeah, and she had like these rows and rows of books of how he was going to die, and each one was a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
yeah,
according to what he chose.
it can show you all the different ways. But you're right, nothing's set in stone. But here are all the different possibilities.
Yes.
And we
Absolutely.
are ever changing because what we learn, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about today with the past life. If we're having issues in the present and we deal with whatever caused those issues from the past, then that will change the future.
Yeah.
And one person who was in here, Duggery or I don't know what his name was. Anyway, he said that it's not a past life, a present life, or a future life. Is that we are divine beings, and so it's just from what perception you have at the moment. So, like our future lives, once we get there, it'll be the present. It's our perception of that time along. It's not a flat. It's not a flat
Yeah.
time.
It's not. The way I look at it is, I'm kind of looking at it like the Neville Goddard way, because that's what I've been studying late. Is that what we have in this world right now are the manifestations that we had in our head in the past. So what we're living right now is kind of dead because it's already what we manifested. And so what we think today is what's manifesting, of course, our future. And so by the time it hits here with what we see with our two eyes, it's already dead because we've already manifested it.
Mm-hmm.
Making
True.
sense? So it kind of is
Yeah.
like on that level.
I mean, when you look at it, who you were at 20 is not the same person you were at 30, is not the same person you are going to be at 40, and on and on and on. So, of course, my perception as a 20-year-old and as a 50-year-old right now has changed. I made so many decisions that altered that future of the 20-year-old. So,
Yeah.
it is. It's really interesting, and you explained it perfectly. All right. Oh, we got Ifayana Otabala coming on here
We
for
got a
reading. They
block.
blocked me off of my reading. You ought to be ashamed of yourself coming on a Sunday with this fuckery, boy.
Every day, all day.
All the time. I'm talking about inbox me. You got to do shit in the dark. You ain't up to no good. You already know it. You already know it. All right, love. So we will see each other next week. Akashic Records, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Akashic Records.
All right. Love you guys. Love y'all. Don't give no money to
Bye.
that sinner.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.